Hi, everybody. It's Kasia Dupuy from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. Thanks for joining me today for the NOTLLibrary Live Create with Kasia. It's just 3 o'clock now. It's actually not quite 3 o'clock. I came on a little bit earlier. I don't know why. I'm just ready to go. We're going to be looking at, playing with, talking about the basics. So we're going to be exploring different ways to use your paintbrush. We're going to be talking about the basics of color mixing. And basically, the whole reason that I'm going over some of the basics is because over the next couple weeks in the NOTLLibrary Live Create with Kasias, we're going to be exploring some art history. So we're going to be talking about some artists. We're going to be looking at some of their styles. We're going to be making artwork in the style of them. So we have to know, or it's good for us to know, how we can best use our brushes and our paints and all that kind of stuff so that we can understand what the artists were doing and how they did it. And then also how, oh, sorry, that was loud, everybody. And also how it will be easy for us to do those things when we're talking about artists and the art history aspect of that. So so we're here a little bit early today. It's 3 o'clock now. So again, my name is Kasia Dupuy and I'm from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. And this is week 13 or week 14. Oh my goodness, of Create with Kasia. So thank you to all who have joined us over the last couple weeks. We appreciate it. And this is something that we're going to keep doing. Yeah. Hopefully I don't run out of projects, but that's why I always say, if you have something that you want to make or you want me to show you how to make, please send me a message or an email, and I will try my best to get that to you. Okay, so I'm just going to transition over to my camera here. Yeah, so ta-da, hi everybody. So just before we get started, a couple of housekeeping things that I've been forgetting the last couple weeks, but I remembered this week, is my internet, actually, knock on wood, has been pretty good the last couple weeks, so hopefully it won't drop on us. If it does, don't worry, I'll be right back. Also, my dogs are in the house, my boys are downstairs, my husband's doing something in the kitchen. It might be a little noisy here today. I have my earbuds in so you can hear my voice clear as opposed to like ambient noise in the house. But yeah, if there's some interruptions, you know what? It'll just add to the show today. And aside from that, I just wanted to mention too that, oh, that was funny. I just said my internet was fine and it drops. Okay. I also wanted to mention too that our summer reading program is now up and running. So our very first kits went out this week. We have our videos hopefully going up by the end of the day or tomorrow of the videos that go with the activities that are in the kits. There is still time to register. Kit number 1 is done, but you can still register for kits number 2 through 5 for the rest of the summer. So the registration form is still open. All ages are welcome to join. And yeah, we'd love to have you join us. So let's get started with the project. So I'll do a run through of materials before we get started with it. And I think this will be a kind of short and sweet one because it's going to be a lot of the same kind of things, but we're just going to kind of switch the way we're doing it a little bit. So if you're going to be joining me right now to be painting, you're going to need a covered surface. So I have my big piece of watercolor paper underneath everything. I have my piece of paper that I'm going to be working on, same size as this one. I have my water to wash my brush. I have my paper towel to dry my brush. I have my paint brushes, and I'm going to be using all of these today. So I have my round fine point brush. I have my big kind of now poofy. Can you guys see that? It's very poofy because I was doing some stippling and pouncing. We'll talk about that. My flat brush, and then I also have my small flat brush that I like to get fine points from. So actually, you know what? I just see that I have this brush over here. This one's not too much better. It's kind of crazy, but you know what? Use whatever brushes you have. This is actually a really good activity and a really good refresher to practice the different techniques you can get and do with the materials that you have on hand. So you might not have the exact same brushes as me, but you might be able to get the same effects, and that's pretty cool. Art's kind of magic that way. You're also going to need a marker or a pencil or pen because we're going to write the names of the different types of technique we're going to be learning about too. You don't have to do that. If you like the way it looks just as a piece of art, that's okay too. You also need some painter's tape or masking tape. That's pretty important today because that is how we get those borders in between everything here. It doesn't matter what kind of tape you have. You can use Scotch tape if that's what you have. I wouldn't use duct tape though, that might rip your paper. But anything like masking tape or painter's tape, I'll show you how to get the sticky off it a little bit. Make sure you're wearing painting clothes, so something you don't mind getting paint on. And most importantly, make sure you have your paints. So for today's project, sorry if you see my headphone over here for a second. For today's project, what you're going to need are the primary colors. Now, if you notice, my primary colors aren't really the true primary colors, but that's only because I've learned as an artist that I prefer to use colors that aren't exactly the true colors. And I know that's breaking rules, but art is all about breaking rules. So I have my primaries here, yellow, that's my red, it's like a pink, I know. And then I have my blue here. It's like a lighter blue, it's like a cyan. So I actually have yellow, magenta, and cyan instead of yellow, red, and blue. Sometimes I find with paint, when red and blue mix together, you get this really dark, dusky purple, and I want a really vibrant, like a plum purple. So that's the kind of colors that I know will make that purple. Oftentimes, if you have the darker or the more bright red, that's what you can use, no problem. That's what everybody kind of thinks of, but I like using these three. Also, they show up pretty nicely on camera. So I'm going to move this out of the way because we have all the materials we need. I'm actually going to put it right up there. I'm going to put it that way because I like the green on the camera there. Make sure my canvas is fitting right in there. Perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to set the framework of our painting, and that's by using this painter's tape. So I'm going to measure just kind of across there. I'm going to rip it where I think. And if you want to lose some of the sticky, what you can do is on a table or on a cloth or on your shirt. Like you can't really see it, but I'm going to put this piece of tape on my shirt and take it right off. And some of the fuzzies from my shirt are on there, and it makes it less sticky. So that means it won't rip the paper. It still might, but it won't be so bad. So I'm going to put that one here. Now I'm going to measure this one here. I'm going to go like that. So I'm going to rip it here. I'm going to put it on the paper just to get some of the sticky off. Peel it up and put it like so. What we want to do now, and yours can look completely different than mine, is we want to make a few different kinds of spaces. I'm going to put that there, peel it off. I'm going to make some spots there. So there's a nice triangle shape. And it doesn't matter if you have the exact same amount as me. You want to at least have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spots. If you have more than that, that is totally okay too. Yeah, you're just going to be able to play with your spaces a little bit more and some of the techniques. So I think this might be familiar to some of you with a painter's tape. I know when when COVID first happened, a lot of you guys and us too were making those geometric chalk paintings on your driveways. It's very similar to that. Yeah, this is exactly the same technique. Isn't that cool that that same technique can be used in art, but also like on a driveway and also on a wall? And I've even seen it done. Someone painted their car with a geometric pattern like this with tape before. Pretty neat. So I'm just taking my tape, putting it on the paper just so it loosens and loses some of the stickiness. And I see that my camera is kind of being my internet's being a little silly today. It's because I said it was fine. I guess that's what happened. So, sorry about that, everybody. Let's see how many spaces we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9. You know what? I'm going to mix it up and put another little piece there for 10. Okay. So, once you have your spaces together, all you have to do, what we're going to do next actually, is start filling up these spaces with some different kinds of techniques. So, okay, just making sure that everything's working all right. Sorry about the delay, everybody. Sometimes this is what happens when things are live. So I might have to leave and then come right back. Okay, I will be right back, everybody. Okay, we're back. Hopefully for good this time. So thanks for being patient. Thanks for tuning back in. I'm not sure what's up with my internet. Maybe it's too hot. it's one of those days. Who knows? But yes, so what we were just doing was I was using my painter's tape to make different sections of my canvas, of my piece of paper. And I was just saying that this is very similar to what a lot of you might have done back in the early spring. I'm doing that sidewalk chalk geometric painting on your driveway and stuff with sidewalk chalk. So it's very similar to that. So we're just about to get into painting, so it's actually kind of a good spot that we got interrupted. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with some line work. Actually, you know what? Let's start simple. We're going to start with dots. So go ahead and grab your fine point brush like this, and you can pick whatever color you want. And all we're going to do is pick a section, and we're going to experiment with making dots. We're going to fill up one space with dots. So we're going to go just like so. So see how I'm kind of dabbing my brush? I know it's not called a dab, but I'm just kind of dotting that on just like so to fill up that corner. Okay? So if I press harder, see I make bigger dots, and I can do some bigger ones all throughout that corner. If I press with the tiny tip of my brush, I can make smaller dots, very teeny. How small can you make them? Can you make like teeny, 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 tiny ones? Yeah. You can also experiment with putting them farther together. Like these I might want to keep them like that. And then these over here, maybe I'll put them really close together. And when we change the frequency, so how often they happen and how close they are, we add something called variation to our painting. And variation is actually pretty interesting. Our brain, as much as our brain likes things that are the same and symmetrical, we also find variation to be very interesting. Our brain likes all kind of things. It just depends on what you're kind of feeling that day. Okay. So look, I have done a section that is all dots of different varying sizes. And even though this looks kind of like nothing right now, it's actually really good for your brain to just practice these simple things over and over. When you do that, it's called mastery, and you can actually become a master at these tiny little steps. Okay, so I've made some blue dots. So I have some blue on my brush. I'm going to make some purple. So let's take some of this pink, well, this magenta, and we'll mix it with some blue to make our first secondary color. So I'm going to take some blue from the side, mix it right in because it wasn't as purple as I liked it. And with this purple, we're going to work on reconnecting my camera, apparently. Let's see. I think I'm back. Can you guys see my hand? Yes, no? I don't think so. Maybe you can hear me? Let's see. Let's see what else is going on here. Thank you for the person that keeps checking in on me. I appreciate that. Let's see. You know those days when technology works, and then those other days that technology does not work. I think today is a technology doesn't work day. Let's see. Can you guys see my hand? No. So you know what? We're going to try resetting the camera one time. So I think you'll still be able to hear me, but I can see that the camera's not working. So I will be right back. And actually, you know what? We're going to try it this way. I'm going to try to leave without actually leaving. So I'll just have to talk this whole time so that you don't think we're gone. Okay, so I'm going to close up some of those things. We're going to open up our camera. I'm going to open it up on here. Let's see. Fingers crossed, everybody. Ready? Okay, there's my floor. There's my cart. I'll put this back in here. Let's see. Does that work? Okay, perfect. Oh, yep, you saw my messy floor. At least I cleaned the floor. That's exciting. Okay, so can you guys see me now? I think so. There's my hand. Okay, So I was just in the middle of making some purple. So I have some purple here, and I made some purple by mixing blue and my magenta together. So cyan and magenta, and I get this really cool kind of nice purple color. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to experiment with line. So you're going to use your fine point brush and pick any other spot you want. I'm going to go right here, and you're going to practice with making different kinds of lines. So from here, look, I'm going to start and do some diagonal lines that go just like that. So just in other weeks, if you see me dip my brush in my water, it's just because the room that I'm working in is very dry. So I'm using the tip of my brush, and I'm trying to make these lines as even as I can. And I know mine are a little bumpy today, but it's because I'm watching the camera a little bit more than normal, just to see if it's going to drop again. Now, one little trick that I've learned, and it doesn't look like I'm doing it right now, but when I go to paint, I actually put my pinky finger down, and I go like this with my hand. It's more like this, but see how my pinky finger gives my hand some balance? That is what helps me make some nice straight lines. Well, straight enough. Today's a little bit of a distraction, but yeah. So I'm just making and filling up that space with some lines, just like so. So that's some line work. You can erase that, or you can wash that brush, and we're going to go into some dashes. So I'm going to take my fine point brush again, and I'm going to go into my yellow. And you know what? I'm going to make another secondary color. So I'm going to, you know what? I feel like making orange. I'm going to take some of my magenta, mix it in with my yellow, and I'm going to make an orange. And we're going to make some dashes. Okay. So we've made two of our secondary colors, orange and purple, from our primaries. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my paper around, and I'm going to do some dashes in this spot right here. Dashes are different than dots because dashes are actually little lines, just like that. I kind of think of them like scales on a fish or on a lizard or something. But the cool thing about dashes is that you can make them really long, or you can make them really, really short so that they almost look like a dot. But see how my brush is moving? It's moving in like a tiny little line, just like that. The cool thing about dashes is that dashes can make things, especially when they're really light, if you make like a light color of them, they can make things look like they're shiny, like they're glistening. So make sure you change up the size of your dashes. Like I have a really long one there. I'm going to do a few more long ones here, just so that they kind of work together. You can put them in one straight line. You can vary. Oh, see how thick that one was? I like that one. You can vary how they go. You can do them all different directions if you like. But I think for practicing, it's really cool to be able to make them all the same way. That's the mastery of this project. Yeah. So it doesn't look like much, but every single dash you do, you are training your brain to do it even better. Okay. So I filled up that section with dashes. Okay. Next thing we're going to do something called cross-hatching. And that is a mix of line work. Actually, it's line work, but we're going to be doing it two separate ways. So I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to switch up to my flat square brush just to make it interesting. I'm going to take some pink, and I'm going to do some cross-hatching in this one here. So watch this. It's the same as this one. So I'm going to do a bunch of lines using the tiny straight up edge of my brush. So I'm using just like there. So just like that there. I'm not pushing hard to get like a big poofy puddle. I'm using just the tiny top of my brush, the chisel edge it's called, and I'm making some lines that go one way. And then to do cross hatching, what we're going to do is actually flip it and go an opposite way, a different way, so they overlap to make it look thicker. Because right now that looks kind of the same, doesn't it? But what we're going to do is turn it this way. And then we're going to make our lines go across this way. So see how I'm kind of making X's? Those are all tiny little X's in there. That's called cross-hatching. And that's my boys. Okay, so we're just going to go across. And don't worry if they're not perfectly straight. Nothing has to be perfectly straight. Actually, that adds a really cool, interesting texture to your artwork. And see how some are like thinner and like kind of broken? That's okay too. It adds some interest to your stuff. And you know, maybe you'll be painting something one day and you're like, I want it to look kind of like, you know, a well-used basket. And that's when you need wavy lines. Whereas if you wanted to look something like pristine, like honeycomb, and you want really straight lines, because bees are pretty awesome architects, you might want to take a little bit more time and make it that way. Okay, so the next one we're going to do, I'm going to put this brush down. We're going to do something called pouncing. So I'm going to take my big brush here, my big poofy kind of brush, and I'm going to take some yellow and we're going to make some green. We're going to make our last secondary color. I'm going to take some yellow here, take a little bit of blue, and mix that in to make some green. And this is actually a really chartreuse green, so it's a yellowy shade of green. It's very bright. And what we're going to do to pounce is basically take your brush and dab it up and down, just like that. And my brush, because I've been pushing it down a lot, it has a hollow center, so it makes these really cool, like leafy looking things. So you're going to pick any spot you want. I'm going to go right here, I think. And I'm going to pounce. So I'm always jumping my brush, and it gives a really fuzzy texture to that area, just like so. Now see what happens when you run out of paint. See how the stippling, oh, that's another word for it, the pouncing and the stippling gets a little bit lighter. Here I ran out of paint. There it's really thick. That's a really cool technique too. This is a fun technique to do when you're doing like bushes and trees. It makes it look really lush. Now I'm going to do one extra thing here. I'm going to take a little bit of blue, and make a darker green just here. And I'm going to add this in to make another layer, but see how I'm still jumping? Yeah, it makes it look extra interesting, just like that. Okay, so that was pouncing. So I'm going to wash that brush. And since we were just doing pouncing with this big fuzzy brush, I'm going to go back to this brush, my square flat, and I'm going to go into yellow. And what I'm going to do is some dabbing. So I'm going to take my brush, get quite a bit of paint on it, just like this, and we're going to make something that looks kind of like that. So it's not quite a dot, it's not quite a dash, it's a dab. So we're going to do some dabs. Not the kind of dabs you do with your arm. That was really popular I think it was last year or the year before. This is like the original dab, a paintbrush dab. So what we're going to do is take your brush with the paint on it and just go like that. And one way I like looking at it is you're kind of making like these little bricks that sit together. Now, the rest of the time when I've been doing these examples, I've been going one way, but look, I'm going to switch up the way I'm going. I'm going to go like this because I think sometimes these look like little confetti pieces too, or sprinkles. This is a really cool way to make things look like sprinkles. Yeah, because it's kind of got that long shape, but it's kind of long and round like a grain of rice. Looks like confetti too. There we go. So that is how we dab. Pick up the brush, get it full of paint, and just kind of push it down lightly. And if you push it down harder, you get like kind of a smear like that. Kind of like when we did for pouncing. So let's go back to let's switch it up. I'm going to go back to blue because I've made all of our secondary colors. So I have our primaries, blue, yellow, pink, or magenta, red. And then I made purple, green, and orange. I'm going to go back to this color, some blue, and I'm going to do some wavy lines. So all you're going to do is take your fine point brush, get some paint on it, and just practice wavy lines like so. Okay, now see how my paint is really dry? Just this room is kind of cool. It's got air conditioner on. But I'm putting bigger spaces, I'm putting less of a space, I'm pushing down harder. We're just going to fill up a spot And it's okay if you go on the green tape because the green tape is going to come off. And look, I'm going to make some little lines that kind of fit right in here. Oops. That was kind of like two little dashes. I like that though, actually. So you can just kind of play around with that. Fill it in with some wavy lines. So these lines don't really have any order to them. They just kind of all fit in like so. Okay. After that, wash your brush. We've got 2 more to do. And then you got a bonus to fill up your stuff. So the next one I'm going to do is actually I'm going to flip over to this corner here. And I'm going to go to yellow because I really like using this yellow. And we're going to do a gradient. So a gradient is when you get really dark at one side and you work your way towards lighter. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This one is really fun. You can actually do a gradient between 2 colors. Maybe that's the bonus I'll do with you guys today. So I'm going to take some of my yellow. I'm going to start my gradient here. So you put your paint down on one side that you want to be the darkest. Take a little bit of water and work that out. And then take a little bit more water and work that out. And then take a little bit more water and work that out. And see how it's getting lighter as I get farther away? So that's called a gradient, when something goes from dark to light or light to dark. Just making that a little darker there. So that's a gradient. Now I'm going to do another gradient here, but I'm going to go from yellow. So I'm going to start with some yellow here. I'm going to blend it out. Remember, take a little bit of water, like so. And then I'm going to go into, I'm going to take some pink. I'm going to put some pink here, and I'm going to work my way down with some water, just like so. And then I can mix it together, just like that, and see how it kind of creates that like sunset kind of color in between. It's a blend. Yeah, so we're blending those 2 colors together. We've got one last little section, and I'm actually going to switch to my square flat brush, and I'm going to play around with some thicknesses of lines. So I did it with orange on this one here. I think I might actually do the same thing because I have lots of this yellow. I'm going to move it over here. Take some more of this color, move it over here. Make like a corally orange. And all I'm going to do is something like this. So I'm going to do a straight line, push a little harder, push harder, and then push really hard. And then we go back to my fine line, push a little bit harder, a little bit harder. And this one, see how my paint's drying, everybody? And then this one I'm going to go like so. And then, I can fit one little fine line in there, just like so. Okay, so that is how we do those ones. And actually, I'm just going to go right here, and I'm going to add a little bit extra right there. We'll do a second little line. Okay, so we have experimented in many different ways with your brushes to fill up a really cool canvas. Now what you can do is carefully peel the tape away, like so. Now you don't want to pull too hard because you might accidentally rip the paper. And you know what, if that happens, luckily we have tape that we can tape things with. So I'm just going to peel those off, like so. And it looks pretty cool, right? Yeah, I really like that. So we've explored different kinds of techniques. We've explored color mixing. So if you'd like, you can take your marker and we can write together what some of these different things are. So I'm going to start over here. Oops, I thought that would fit in. So I'm going to start over here. And there's already these kind of lines. So I'm going to write what this kind was. And this was wavy line. So W-A-V-Y-L-I-N-E. And then these over here, does anyone remember what they were? Those are dashes, right? So I'm going to write dash. D-A-S-H. And then this one here, this was pounce. So P-O-U-N-C-E. And that's Frankie. These ones here, These little sprinkle ones, they were dab, and that's really easy. D-A-B. And then this one was easy too. This one was line, so L-I-N-E. That one was easy too. Dots, D-O-T-S. This one, actually, you know what? We're going to start with this one first. So this one is called gradient. G-R-A-D-I-E-N-T. And this one is very similar, but this one is color gradient. So C-O-L-O-U-R-G-R-A-D-I-E-N-T. This one was crosshatch. C-R-O-S-S-H-T-C-H. And then this one was pressure. So change in pressure. We don't have to write change in pressure. We can just write pressure. So P-R-E-S-S-U-R. And now you have this really cool poster that you can look at when you're experimenting with art and you're not sure what might look good somewhere. You have this reference piece. You've made your very own study and your very own color and technique reference piece. So amazing job, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your Monday afternoon. If you weren't able to stay the whole time, don't worry. We are going to be uploading these videos to our YouTube channel later today. And they are going to be embedded in our website, hopefully, fingers crossed, because we're learning every single day, under our summer reading program banner that's going to be on the website. So all the videos there, they're also all on our YouTube channel. So if you miss any of them, don't worry. That is where we have them all. Okay, have a great rest of your Monday afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you later this week. Bye.